What is going on, guys? Wally back with another video, and in today's video we're going to have a lore discussion, a little bit of a topic talk about the Daughters of Oryx. Now, I recently finished up the script for the actual formal lore video that will get finished up and probably go up next Sunday. That lore video should go up next Sunday. Yeah, it should go up next Sunday, but I wanted to talk about a little bit of things that I went through in the script and then get your thoughts on it and start that conversation on the lore. So, the Daughters of Oryx. Couple questions that come up, and I think the most predominant questions that come up are like, are they actually daughters of Oryx? And to an extent, no. In like the pure technical word definition sense, they're not. They are cut from the same larvae. So you have those little worms. Oryx cut one in half, and then the two sisters, the twin sisters, if you will, became the two Death Singers, Ir Anuk and Ir Halak. And the idea here is that they're technically his daughters because he cared for them, or he had some influence in their upbringing to a certain extent with their own birth, I guess, of being a larvae. But it doesn't specifically say that here's the mom and she birthed or, hatched, or however it works in the hive lore, these two daughters. That's not exactly what happened. At least it's not explained. For the best of my knowledge, it's not explained. And I went through most of the cards looking for information on these two daughters, and I think there's like 4 or 5 cards that specifically mention them. There's a couple in the Books of Sorrows, and obviously they have their own 2 cards, but their own 2 cards go over information that is discussed more in depth in the Book of Sorrows. So continuing on that point, a couple other questions is, what are they there for? What is their purpose? Why are they so, I guess, given a character model, a unique character model, the Pyramid Head, the Silent Hill Pyramid Head? If you haven't seen it yet, take a look at it. It's actually really interesting that the inspiration, I would say, is probably specifically drawn from that. Maybe it isn't, but I have a good feeling that it is. But the idea here is, again, that these two daughters are Death Singers. Now, the first time we ran into a Death Singer was back in Dark Below with Ir Yut, and Tolan the Shattered sort of went in a little bit of detail on how the song works, and they explained it a little bit more from here. But my idea of it, this is just what I got from it, is that this song is sort of like the oracles for the Vex. The song is some kind of hive rite or ritual or something that gives these wizards, these Death Singers, the ability to take things out of existence, or to remove life, or take the soul or something, to just suck the essence of life out of that being and just kill you, right? That is the death song. And it's mentioned a couple times. Ir Halak goes into Xivu Arass throne world, the sister of Oryx, and sings a song and kills everyone in that throne world, right? So the idea here is that these are just songs made to kill. And Oryx specifically questions if they're not going to be using swords or boomers, but songs in the future. So obviously these death songs are a threat. They are bad things. We don't want these. And if you remember the Ir Yut boss fight back in the day at Dark Below, this was almost 6 months ago, maybe a little bit less than that. The first time we ran into it, it was pretty interesting because it was like, oh, what's a death song? Like, what's going on? The first time I went into that card, I found it very interesting that it was sort of the first time, besides a couple other cards, that it was mentioned that existence didn't necessarily happen on the same reality or dimension that we're accustomed to. So the hives sort of exist outside of our reality, and this gives them the ability to really mess around with technically our reality. And I found that very interesting, that death songs are weapons. They're weaponized forms of magic or mysticism, something like that, that give them the ability to just control the existence of beings around them. How they specifically do that, like is there a life force? Is it the Force itself from Star Wars? Like, what is it? I don't know specifically. I think it has something to do with, again, the light and the darkness, and being how there's some kind of metaphysical there. There's some sort of realm there that we don't see, perhaps, that has an effect on all of us. I'm not 100% sure. I'm curious to know what you guys think on that one. Now, moving forward with this point, these two daughters are attempting to have the ability to speak to the darkness, and Oryx is very secure about this. He is the only person that has the ability that we know of in the hive that can speak to the darkness. He specifically says, or it specifically says, it's like book 37 or 38 that says Oryx and the Tablets of Ruin are the only people or only things allowed to go into the deep, and the deep is technically the darkness. So the daughters are trying to do that, but how they're trying to do that is they're trying to die so many times to like get outside of existence, because technically that's what Oryx is. He's technically outside of existence. It's all very fuzzy and kind of vague in some weird way. If anyone has like a really good way to just make sense of it, like super simple, please let me know, put it in the comments. But the idea here is that these daughters form oversouls, and what they do with these oversouls is it's like taking your existence or your being and placing it outside of your own body. So you're taking your soul, if you will, your essence, right? Whatever keeps you ticking, and you're placing it outside of your body. But your body, your will, your mind, everything stays there, but the ability to just knock you out completely, take you out forever, is placed in a wound in reality called an oversoul. And we see two oversouls in the game that I know of, at least, Crota's and the Warp Priest. But it's interesting that we don't specifically attack these oversouls, at least not in most of the boss fights. Like Crota, you kind of do, not really, you kind of do, but the boss fight isn't really, you're not meant to attack it. The Warp Priest, you don't attack his oversoul. So the question is if these things are there, are they only effective if you're not in close proximity? So the idea here is that if you're in close proximity with an oversoul and you take out that Ascended Hive next to his oversoul, you're taking him and the oversoul out. But the farther that they get away from each other, say if we killed Crota then when he was in his full form on Earth, but his oversoul was in the moon, we'd obviously not kill him completely, right? It's still sort of weird for me. I don't really understand it. It's not explained the best way possible. I think, again, it's one of those points where they try to be confusing for confusing's sake, but from my understanding, Ir Anuk and Ir Halak created the oversouls to be utilized across the Hive broods. It's actually like a direct quote from my script, but yeah, I found that very cool, very interesting, and obviously this kind of goes in the direction of why they're so powerful, why we should be kind of afraid of them, why we should take them out. So the final point here is when you run into them in the raid, what are they doing there in the raid? And this is the part that isn't explained to me, and I don't necessarily understand that. Why are they there in Oryx's throne realm, throne world? What are they attempting to do? Perhaps they're attempting to create him an oversoul so that he can survive longer. He did technically take himself, and that's weird. That whole point of thing, that's where I kind of lose my train of thought, and I don't really understand what's going on in the story. So that's what my question is to you. Why are they in Oryx's raid? Like, why do you think they're there? Do you think that they're dead? That's probably another big question that, again, it's not really explained, because Ir is still kicking, even though we took her out in the Crota raid. She's still there in the Taken King storyline, one of the story missions. So I find that very interesting. Can you kill a Death Singer? Is it possible? Will they never be taken out? As I think the questions that I want to give to you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And when the lore video does go out, the formal one, I'll let you guys know on this channel. Thank you so much. I'll catch you guys all later. Peace.